Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is episode 3 of In Motion. If you missed the first 2 episodes, shame on you. But the good thing about the internet, it lives there forever. You can go to Love You Hard TV, click on videos, and click on In Motion. If you missed last week's episode, you missed a great episode. Did really well with the viewing public. But we are back again. We got some special guests we're going to introduce here in a minute. But I got Mark, Reed, and G back.
Hey,
Two
hey.
weeks, 2 weeks in a row. Mark, what's up? G,
Hey,
what's up? How y'all doing, fellas?
what up? What's up, man? Good to be here. Always.
How things going
Always.
with the rollout? I know we announced a couple weeks ago that y'all are rolling out the high school team. How are things going? Everything, nothing runs smoothly, but how are things going?
Oh, no complaints, man. Trump threw a little monkey wrench with not allowing international guys
Oh,
the ability to get here. But you have to pivot sometimes, and so we pivot, hit him with a pump fake and a jab, and we back to it.
pump fake and a jab. I like the fundamentals. G,
Back to it.
how things going? I know you've been ripping and running with the big three. How things going
hmm
on your end, sir?
Oh, good, man. Excited, man. Excited about this summer. Excited to get this summer started, man. The players, they're starting to kind of come in, trickle in and stuff. And, the summer is always the funnest part, man. It's when you get a chance to really make that impression. You get a chance to make those improvements for the following year. So I'm always excited about the summer.
Right. And for anybody tuning in the first time, this is a show called In Motion. But we talk basketball, but we also talk about a lot what goes on in the strength and motion world and the strength and motion camp. And G and Mark can speak to it, obviously, as co-founders. But who better to speak to it than a couple of young men that have actually come through y'all's program and are now moved on to do some really big things. So our special guests today, I want to introduce them, Mr. Jordan Mason and Mr. Ethan Croley. Am I saying that right, Ethan?
Yeah, you are.
Ethan, Jordan, how are you young men doing this fine Monday afternoon?
Man, doing good. Doing good.
Good, good. So Jordan, you go first. Where are you at? What city are you in, and what college are you currently attending right now?
I'm in Philly right now, and I go to the University of Temple.
Nice, nice, nice. Ethan, where are you at, my man?
It's Reno, Nevada. University of Nevada, Reno.
Now
Wolfpack.
y'all are Clark alums, you same class and everything.
Nah,
Nah,
I
Jordan.
think 2 years older.
Oh, so Jordan is he? Or is that officially he Unk? Is he old head?
Nah, nah,
You're
nah,
elder.
chill. Not Unk.
Not Unk. No, me, G,
Shit.
and Mark. Me, G, and Mark. We Unk. We Unk. Yeah, we Unks right now.
Yeah, y'all
So
might
what?
be past that.
Cool, man.
Oh, listen to the
The
guy.
hate. There go the hate.
He said we might be past that. All right, hey man. So tell me a little bit about yourselves, Ethan. You could go first, and what you got going on in your journey. How you ended up at the University of Nevada.
So a
Don't
little
be
bit about my journey. You said what?
don't be shy, bro. You can let loose. It's just us
Yeah,
here.
just a little bit about my journey. So after high school, pretty much I didn't have, bunch of colleges recruiting me. I didn't have no offers. So decided to, take my prep year, go to Strength and Motion, with Mark and Mace and Sir, just to get better at the game, understand the game more, in better shape. So took a year there. I ended up making a stop down in Arizona where I played in this league called Overtime Elite, and
I've
then
heard.
from
Yeah,
there got some more college looks and recruitment, and now I'm here in Nevada.
nice, nice, nice. Jordan, how'd it go for you, my man?
Um, I mean, I've kind of bounced around a little bit. I grew up S&M pretty much my whole life because my dad's a part of this.
Mm-hmm.
So after high school, straight out of high school, I went to Texas State for 2 years. Had a good time there. Ended up transferring to the University of Illinois Chicago, and then transferred again this last year to Temple University. So I'm here in Philly now.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Man, that was a different world up there for you up there in Illinois. It's a different type of cold in Illinois.
Nah, for sure.
You wasn't ready for that.
Different.
Right.
So
Nah.
Mark, what can you tell us about these two fellas before I start asking them any questions? What can you tell us about these guys?
Jordan grew up with us, so he did 9 years basically at Strength in
Oh,
Motion.
damn.
From fourth grade.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
something like that.
Yeah,
he
so
was
when we started, he's been a part of it since it became Strength in
so
Motion.
he was shagging balls, getting water.
Nah, he was out there competing, getting
Oh,
beat
okay.
up on,
Getting it in.
getting it
He
in, getting
worked.
beat up on. You know what I mean? And so he grew up in our program, man, and I think it helped him develop one playing against older guys every summer. So he played against I believe harder competition in the summer than during the school year.
Mm,
Um, growing up, and then it's a sad case, but then he had to leave the city to play on a shoe team out of Dallas to solidify that he was a Division I kid.
mm,
Um, but that's just putting it in a nutshell. And then Ethan, they played together. I think Ethan kind of seen Jordan's journey. Jordan had to put some words of wisdom in his ear. Um, Ethan came with us. He he's on here, so I can't dog him too much, but he didn't dominate the city the way he should have and was capable of. And so he had to come to us, and he took it serious.
yeah.
I think the light kind of switched on for him, and he took, like you said, nutrition and the weight room, and really playing against guys his size on a regular, and he showed that he was a Division I guy, and now he's there.
Gee, how rewarding is it seeing a couple? I mean, a guy. Obviously, we talked about in episode one the scholarships that you all have helped these young men get. But how rewarding is it to see two of these guys that came through your program now at Division I programs? Is that like the
I mean,
oh,
it's awesome. I mean, the cool thing about it is, like Jordan said, we knew Jordan as a youngin. His granddad and my pops played together,
oh
and so I've known his mom. Growing up, as little kids running around the Spurs arena, and all that stuff, and so we go back a long way, man. So it's great to see Jordan. He has a granddad that can play with the best of them. They don't talk about him enough, but he comes from a great pedigree of players, and so for just to see him develop and take it and make it his own was beautiful to see. And he's got his own game. He's got his own style, the way he likes to play. He is, and he wants to learn. And so, and he continues to want to learn. And so, that's always great to see, man, when, the guys are on there wearing their journey, but they're still hungry for more. And that's the reason why he's at Temple right now. And then,
absolutely.
Big Ethan, man, I got a chance to meet Ethan a few years back once he got out. I didn't get a chance to see him in high school, but once he came to us, that first year and stuff, you saw the potential right away. Mark raved about him, when he came to us, and so just to, once I finally met him, we got a chance to meet, and I got a chance to see him play, and he just saw the potential in him. And then we went to Europe and took him over to
Wow.
Europe to kind of go see, just some different competition. And I mean, when he came back from Europe, man, it was almost like he was a different person, man. It was like that light bulb really clicked on when he came from Europe, man, and shoot, he made it his own, and this is why these two young men are where they are right now. We can say, we kind of helped them on their journey, but this was theirs. They took it and made it theirs. We
Right.
just provided a platform
In a
and was
little
there when they needed them. When they needed us, and so.
Fellas, Jordan, Ethan, y'all, Ethan, you could go first. Talk to me about how Strength in Motion prepared you for D1 basketball.
I would say it prepared me, just kind of what Mark was saying, just being able to, be in the weight room every day, 5 days a week, the schedule, the waking up early, the like the similarities that you have with college basketball, going 2 times a day, eating right with the nutrition, just kind of it helped me, just build a schedule of an everyday thing that I was gonna see in college, and then it kind of just, that helped me, stay more consistent and you know things like that.
Jordan, how about you, man?
I mean, kind of like Mark said as well, like growing up around it, like it pushed me when I was younger, and I got to see guys that were Division 1 talents and were really good, and kind of just seeing their work ethic and the way they approached the game at a young age, it made it impossible for me not to, take the same approach or work even harder because I didn't have the talent or the just God-given abilities that they had, so I had to work a little bit harder. And
See,
then, I mean, every day, like we just, I don't know, our routine, like even when I come home for the summers, is really good. Like it's probably better than some college program workouts, so it gives me a step up.
now this is again. I'm not a D1, not D1 anything. I thought and I'm being honest. I thought y'all got to eat what y'all wanted until you hit a certain age because y'all basketball players. So I didn't know that y'all were starving these kids at Strength in
Man,
Motion.
not starving them,
I didn't know
man.
y'all
Not
was starving. I
starving them.
thought like these guys they're in their young early 20s and y'all got to be eating chicken and broccoli already.
Not
What?
all the way, man. But we're trying to prepare them, man. Coming with us, man. You're really saying, we talked about this. Debt free education is the key.
Right.
But man, like these guys want to make some real money.
Mm-hmm.
They want to be pros, and so you don't see real pros with longevity eating McDonald's.
No.
You don't see them at fast food and different things. So like nutrition is part of it, man. If you want to have longevity, you have to take care of your temple, right?
No
You
pun
have to
intended.
take care of it. And so they I think they learned a lot as far as that. Sometimes when we're on the road, man, we had to stop and eat some of those
Yeah, of
places that
course.
but for most part, especially Ethan, I have to give him a lot of credit on how serious he took, what he ate and different things like that, because he is a big guy, you know what I mean? And so, he can look lean one day and have a long weekend and look totally different on Monday. So, he has to be a little bit more serious
Strength and motion.
about
Y'all
what
being
he
Pat
does.
Riley. Strength and motion. Y'all running the Pat Riley system up there. Pat Riley's big on that nutrition. Now, look, Jordan, Ethan. I didn't know Mark and G like personally. We didn't have a personal relationship, but I'm gonna tell y'all, man. They was running around eating McDonald's in high school, even though they telling y'all to eat chicken and broccoli.
We know better. We know better.
G's the same weight that he's right now that he was in 8th grade. I know G eat what he want to. So yeah, y'all
Bro,
take it
know how
easy,
you want
youngsters.
today.
Whatever. Hey, what's it like playing for Coach Mark, Ethan Jordan? What type of coach? What this is? I'm throwing y'all a curveball. What was it like with this dude every day?
Honestly, like what I what I find in a good coach for myself is like it ain't just about the game all the time, basketball. It's also about life, being a real person, being a genuine person, creating that relationship with your players where like I can go to Mark and ask him about stuff off the court, stuff with family, problems I got, whatever it might be, and just creating that trust. So it was just a lot. It was real helpful to me, to be honest. And I think we grew a good relationship, and yeah.
Mm. Jordan, you've been around since 4th grade. Tell the truth,
Yeah.
man. Y'all being nice right now. It's just us. This is not live.
Nah,
So you can say what you want. If it's too bad, I'll just cut it out. Keep it real,
n-
man.
nah. I'm gonna keep it real. I mean, nah. Playing for him and being coached by him every day. I mean, he played professionally. And so, I mean, he's been where I want to go, and he's always been 100% honest, whether it's what I want to hear or what I don't want to hear, which a lot of time is what I
Facts.
don't want to hear.
Mm.
But but I mean, you always just know like he's really looking out for you, and he wants what's best for you. So when you have that type of relationship, like it's easier to like take what he's saying, whether it's him yelling at you and cussing you out, or if it's just him really pulling you aside and having a real conversation with you, like about life or basketball or whatever it is. Like he's built that relationship with a lot of guys to where it doesn't matter how he says it. Like eventually, you're gonna get the message, and you know it's what's best for you.
And I want to ask y'all this, and Mark and G, y'all chime. G, you chime in first because y'all all play college ball. G, you and Mark both play pro, and then I'll get to Ethan and Jordan because I want to see the different dynamics because it's different timing, obviously. The difference when you left MacArthur to go to Arizona State, what was the biggest difference? It was Arizona State before Houston, right? Okay.
Yep, it was Arizona State before Houston. At that time, man, I think basketball, the culture was different here in San Antonio. You had guys that were going big time basketball. You had your Artie Griffins, that was going to
Mm-hmm.
Alabama. You had your Vince Embry, who was going to Mississippi State. You had your Bo
Brian Green.
Outlaw who went to Houston. You had Brian Green who went to Nevada.
I think Ivan went to
So
UT. Yeah.
He went to NC State.
yeah,
Right.
and so it was during that time, man, a lot, especially in the San Antonio area, it was a lot more guys that was going Division 1. So the competition was a little different then, and and to be noticed and things like that. And for me, man, I was blessed to have a coach, man, that loved me genuinely and really wanted me to be successful in the game of basketball. It wasn't about him personally getting any state championships and nothing like that. He took and he invested his time in me, and that made all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
Kind of like Celestine. Kind of that coach that Celestine is and stuff, man. More of that player's coach. And so I had one of them, man. And so he motivated me every day. He opened that gym up early in the morning, man. And shoot, it was just, it's no different than when Jordan and Ethan are, but it was just at a different time. I ain't had no social media. It wasn't nothing like that. So it had to be word of mouth. So you had to kind of get down and people had to talk about it. And then you had to wait to go to Mike Coonstack and let him write about it and then hope somebody else read about it and then so the process was just totally different. And
Right.
so now, man, these guys, man, they got everything in the palm of their hand. They got their own advertisement in their hand. They can shoot their own
Great point.
commercials
Great point.
and stuff,
Fellas,
man. So
what was the biggest adjustment? Was it physical? Was it mental? What was the biggest adjustment from high school to college basketball?
Mm,
You want to go first, Jordan?
yeah, go ahead. E.
I mean, I say, I mean, obviously the physical that's just gonna come just regardless, just it's not like you can skip out on the weight room, in college and stuff like that. But I say more mentally, it's it's a more just it's a grind, right? Like it's a job. That's your
Mm,
job playing hoops, and it's about the discipline. You gotta be real disciplined, especially like you're living by yourself. You're by yourself. You're by yourself on honestly like most of the day. So it's gotta be the discipline factor. Waking up early, eating right. That is like that stuff you don't really see in high school. High school, you get a lot more help. Like with parents and
great.
so.
What do you think was for you, Jordan? What was the biggest jump? Because you've been to a couple spots. So what was the biggest hurdle for you getting to Texas State?
I think probably like the mental part of it. I mean, like especially in San Antonio, like there wasn't a lot of like really high level players that went and played Division 1. So
Damn.
like the adjustment to
Yeah.
the level and not being the best player just naturally without working hard. Like that was an adjustment for me. Like it's not something that everyone talks about a lot, but usually everybody on my team, I think everybody on my team was probably the best player. So coming in and thinking you're going to be the guy, and then realizing
Wow.
there's a 4-year guy here that knows everything and that you're going to play behind and have to learn from. It's an adjustment for sure.
Y'all both brought up great points. Number one, Ethan, you said you're alone in the discipline, and then Jordan, you talking about walking into the gym and everybody nice. That's like, so to me, outside looking in, it's like, okay, so now I got to bring it every day. or I'm gonna get buried on the bench. But that discipline thing, because you're alone, it's easy to just hit snooze. It's easy to not go to class because you're right, Ethan. You don't have anybody. Like, you ain't got your mom waking you up, making your breakfast. So y'all both brought up some good points that I think that the average person really doesn't understand.
I got a question for y'all.
Uh oh.
So for me, we have a lot of discussions about um how old the education system is,
Mm.
with you having to sit in the classroom for 8 hours a day, to get to a position to go to any university. I'm not going to say any level, just any university. And how many hours a day do you sit in the classroom now, or do you even sit in?
Uh, I mean, honestly, like I'll probably have all online this semester, so I might not even go to class. Half of them are you don't even meet online, so probably like sit on my bed for 2 hours, like on
That's
Zoom. So yeah, I'd probably say that like 2 hours a day on Zoom. Everything else is just on your own.
Ethan, for you?
Yeah, like right now I got a summer class, but we don't even meet in Zoom anymore. I think I have one class in person when school starts, but other than that, mostly online. And a lot of times it's just like you're not even meeting on Zoom. It's just you're all by yourself.
Get the work
Yeah,
done.
so
facts. Yeah,
basically
at your
y'all.
own pace too.
So yeah,
Yeah.
like Ethan said when he talked, it's your job. So y'all's job. So really, y'all there to hoop.
Yeah, nah, but I mean,
Yeah.
you gotta do the
No, I know
school
you got to
part, but it's
pass. You got
like
to do your classes, right?
yeah, but nobody's holding your hand doing it. So like that part of it is it's just it's very different than what high school was, where if you're not in class, they're calling your mom or your dad before you even get home. Like they already know you were absent at whatever period it was.
You know that belt's waiting on you when you get
Yeah.
home.
Yeah, it's different.
Um, what would you suggest kids coming out of high school? Would you suggest kids coming out of high school do a prep school year?
Oh man, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think especially like in today's age of basketball, it's really old. Like there's a lot of 23, 24 year olds playing basketball, and I couldn't adjust at 18 when the oldest guy on my team was 22. So I can only imagine playing with the fifth, sixth year senior and who has everything figured out, and you're coming from high school, and it's a lot to try to adjust to. And I think prep is like the perfect, like they're kind of teaching you gradually how to be a college athlete and how to operate and how to move on your own.
What do you think, Ian?
Just kind of what Jordan said, like unless you're like a 5 star, coming out of high school, you gotta realize that you're honestly not that nice. So just taking that year is just
Damn,
it's
Ethan, tell them how
yeah,
you
I mean
really feel.
honest, that's what it is though, and especially with the transfers now and colleges, they're going after JUCO players and 22-year-olds and grown men. Like it's just you're not really competing right out of high school, even though some people might think they're good, but it's a big gap. It's a big gap.
A big gap. You that big of a gap though, G Mark? I mean, unless you like all world, I guess. It's what type of gap we talking about, Mark and G? What type of gap are we talking about? Because y'all see it every day.
We just went. Me and Mark just had an opportunity to go to University of Houston about a month ago, and and just to see the facilities, they took us, toured us around the facility, and showed us. And you see where the gap is, man. These guys have sleep pods and infrared sleep pods where they can kind of get away, and it's set up like that because you have guys that need that need that sanctuary because like Jordan and Ethan said, it's a grind, and these guys are coming into a situation where it's basically their job is to play basketball, and they're getting compensated for it now too. So there's going to be another responsibility that has to be upheld, and that comes with the discipline that Ethan was talking about. But just just looking at that that campus and looking at that, and the way they do things, man, it's a serious business, man. And college athletics is gone professional basically.
Yeah. You got anything, Mark?
Yeah, I think the gap depends on what you're seeing in high school. Like Jordan kind of said, I could kind of half-ass sometimes and still be one of the better players. Where like in right now Dallas is hot. Give credit to Dallas, Houston. They're hot right now. Where you might have 10 to 12 guys in one district going Division 1. So their gap from leaving high school to college may be a little bit different from a San Antonio kid where you might not play a guy in college all season, or a guy
Mm,
that's going to college all season, or you might not play you know a skilled 6'8" guy who can put it on the floor, shoot the three. He's big and strong, so you might not see it. So that adjustment is huge, for depending on where you're coming from
right.
on an average day.
Ethan, Jordan, I don't think y'all can get to where you are if you're not hyper competitive, right? So give me a guy, you give me a guy that y'all played, whether it be overtime elite, Texas State, Illinois, Nevada, that you walked away and he had you up all night. Like, damn, he gave me that business. He was nice.
Not the coaching staff. Say someone else.
Yeah,
Not
not
strength
the
and motion coaching
yeah,
staff.
yeah,
Somebody
yeah.
else.
Now I know they gave
I
you.
was I was
Give
never
Y-
yeah, you didn't have to
Yes,
worry about that
yes,
for
you
sure.
were.
Come
Yeah,
on,
we
You,
don't
bro.
you was
count.
thinking. Yeah, you was thinking like, man, I don't want to give them props. Say somebody
yeah,
else.
give me a guy that had you waking up at night like, damn, I got to get back in the gym. He was nice.
I mean, being competitive, I don't even really want to say. Can I just not answer?
Okay,
To
because
be
you got to play
honest,
him this year or what?
nah, I just don't even want to answer.
You don't
Probably
have to.
dude
Who?
from Drake, Bennett Sturts. He gave us like a 30-point double double. We won though, but still, he gave us. Yeah, he killed us. So that was definitely like I was mad for like the next week about that one.
You got anybody that comes to mind, Ethan? Or you just
Honestly, like to be honest,
everybody?
Oh, here we go.
nah. I would just say like during the strength of motion season, like when we was playing them top JUCOs in Texas and it was grown men, like probably some of those bigs. But like right now, I mean, yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that.
You know what though? I think that's it. I think both answers are interesting, and I say that because it's kind of full circle of the conversation. Jordan says somebody from Drake. You say somebody from JUCO. So it just shows to exactly what y'all been talking about how tough this is once you make that transition. Everybody is nice. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
because people like, there's this, well, in my era, it's like, frowned upon, like, oh, he went to JUCO first. But no, it's some killers. It's some killers in JUCO, and it's some killers at the University of Drake, clearly. So I,
Yeah.
I think it's kind of like what we talked about, that gap.
The young
I
man
went to JUCO.
from I went to JUCO too, but the young man from OKC went to junior college. He just won a national. I mean, won the NBA.
Which one? Caruso? Who was it?
No, Will. I think. Wait, I have it right here.
Williams.
Not. It could be
which
Williams.
Jalen?
Probably the light skinned Jalen. Because the light skinned Jalen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
Well, Mark looks that up. G, you play some killers. Give me somebody that gave you nightmares.
Kendrick Williams.
Kendrick Williams. He went JUCO
Kendrick,
too?
Oh yeah.
Yep, he went to Howard. I mean, sorry, New Mexico.
Okay.
New Mexico Junior College.
Yeah, G, I know you play some killers, G. Give me one guy that gave you nightmares. Don't act like nobody gave you the
And
work.
I ain't too many gave me the work, man. I mean, but I mean,
There you go.
I came against some guys that could really go though. And then, you
Yeah.
remember I played in that Conference USA conference at that time when it was Cincinnati and
Mm.
DePaul, and so you had Quentin Richardson, and you had them brothers out there, and then you had Louisville and stuff. So man, that I went up against some guys and stuff, man. But I mean, I honestly the toughest guy that that's ever played me was a guy sitting next to you. And
Oh,
so, the one, and cause that brother, man,
he
we would
he trying to
fight tooth and nail, just out of
every
the respect.
yeah. I played
And
every day.
so me and that brother, man, we played all, we played a lot, and shoot, he got to figure my game out and stuff. So it made me have to add stuff and stuff, and me and that brother, man, we played 1-on-1 daily, and what it did, it was just kind of helped us sharpen our knives and stuff, man.
Yeah,
So I done came across a lot of good players, man, but ain't nobody played me tougher than the brother sitting next to you right there.
I feel you. Jordan, Ethan, if y'all could give your 15-year-old self some advice now that you are where you are, you could talk to 15-year-old Jordan, you could talk to 15-year-old Ethan. What advice would you give to that young man?
15-year-old me, I probably, I mean, I think more than anything, I would just tell my 15-year-old self to just listen more, just take as much information in as you can, and just try to do it. I mean, I think at 15, it's a tough age. Like you want to be your own person and do your own things, but just listen to the people around you because they really do care about you. That'd probably be the biggest advice to my 15-year-old self.
What about you, E?
Oh, that's a good one. Listen, that's a good one. That's a good one. I would say, mm,
More
I
shots,
say
more.
it's like,
What would it be?
yeah, not necessarily about. I mean, yeah, it's like work hard, right? That's just. I feel like as an athlete, you always kind of have thought that. I think just more like a focus. Like you found out what you want to do, and then just keep working at that. Don't let your head get distracted. The distraction is a big thing, especially nowadays. And for me growing up high school, just staying on the right path and with basketball.
Well, if I
Yeah.
would have told you at 15 you're making money, and how did it feel getting them first checks? We ain't got to talk numbers. We don't want everybody in your business pocket watching you. But how was it? And again, I was saying this because there may be some 15-year-olds that run across this show, and I want them to know that you can get money doing this if you keep focused, if you listen more. What was it like seeing them first couple direct deposits? How did that feel?
It just makes you want to go
Uh,
harder, to be honest.
I like that answer.
y- yeah, it's a great feeling. I mean, because I guess you really wouldn't, or at least me, I never thought I'd be in this type of situation. Like at 15, you told
Right.
me I could be making money playing basketball. There's no way.
Yeah.
So full
Yeah.
circle moment for sure.
Yeah, cause see these two unks here, that y'all's mentors. They, if they got money, it was shoebox money. Nobody knew about it.
They was they was mad if we got extra French fries at McDonald's.
Extra meals, man.
Yeah.
You getting scolded.
Yeah,
What's
y'all struggle for us. I appreciate y'all for sure.
hey? They
Man,
crawl so y'all could walk.
no, for
What's a
sure.
day like? What's a day like in a D1 athlete's? What's a D1 athlete's day look like
I mean, like during school, like
during
real
school?
school
Obviously,
hours. I mean, it depends on like your class schedule, but I mean, as a freshman, I woke up at like 8. I went to class from 9 to 12, 9 to 1. Went straight to practice at 1:30. Practice from like 1:30 to 5 because we had weights and practice, and we had to be in the training room. After 5, we'd eat, and then you had to be at study hall from 6 to 8, and then eight
yo,
o'clock, you're tired, but you got a
damn,
little bit of time to do what you want to do.
dog, that's a 12-hour day.
Yeah, sun up to sundown for sure. Like there's some days we didn't see the sun.
Hey
So
man, these
Jose,
coaches,
it popped up in front of them. There we go.
yeah, these coaches have so much on the line now, man. So the more I have my eyes on you, the better I feel. You know what I'm saying? I can kind of dictate your decisions if you're in my eyesight. Now, when you get out of my eyesight, you get to kind of do your own, man. And so that goes to where a lot of these coaches want older guys. You know, a
Yeah,
younger guy
yeah,
might be
it's
better on the court. You know, what I mean, he might have some more potential, better attributes, all the above. But at the end of the day, man, when I go home at night, I don't want to have to keep one eye on my phone. Right? I want to be able to sleep good and
Mhm.
not worry about what none of my guys are doing. And so, you know, you get a little older, you get a little wiser, hopefully, where, you know, you're kind of more locked into what the mission is.
Right. Also, like, I guess my question for y'all, because again, y'all all college and pro athletes. How's the adjustment to not getting touches, as many touches? What's the adjustment like in trying to find a way on the floor? Was it for all? I guess it's a question for all y'all. Was it? Did you find a way on the floor from defense? Did you find a way on the floor from rebounding? What is it like making the adjustment from getting all the touches to you might not get a touch? What's that adjustment like for me? Again, because I'm outside looking in.
Go ahead, Ethan. You're the youngest.
I say like right now, because there's some guys, especially on my team, we got a lot of like fifth year seniors, older guys. You just gotta find other ways to impact the game. Even if it's just encouraging your teammates, like that's honestly a huge thing that coaches look at. Encouraging your teammates, keeping your head up, or after how you respond to a bad play. Let's say you make a turnover, how you respond to that, and then definitely defense, rebounding, yeah, defense versatility. Yeah, that's gonna get you on the floor. Talking, also communicating, it's a big one.
I've heard so many coaches say that. They walk in the gym. Yes, obviously they're watching you play, but I've heard so many coaches say they watch the guys on the bench. They watch you on the bench to see if you're pouting or if you're encouraging your teammates. So that to me, like, that's just not something that I thought that coaches even, I thought, they out here saying like, okay, he gets buckets, oh, he can go left, or he can go right, he does this well. But them paying attention is, I'm, making your point, Ethan. It's everything. How you warm up, how you encourage
Hmm.
your teammates. Would you say that's been pretty much your experience as well, Jordan?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was. Yeah, like that's how I got my first scholarship. Actually, was moving up on the bench, not sitting at the end of the bench.
What? For real?
Yeah, that's how I got. I only had two offers out of high school. The first one I got when he called me, he told me that was what got me my offer. Was when I wasn't playing, I was still engaged, and every time somebody got subbed in, I'd move up the bench.
Hey, clip this part, Jose. Clip that. Because and I want the dads that and the moms that watch this show to show this to their sons and daughters. That's amazing to me. I mean, you
Yeah,
got on a
man, they
shirt that
gonna think I'm trash.
no, I ain't saying you trash, but I'm just saying like all of that matters. But you got on a shirt that says buckets though.
Yeah,
So
no, yeah. I
I
mean,
mean, if
I
you're gonna
used to
wear a
be. I
shirt
was
like that,
nice.
do you get buckets? If you're gonna wear a shirt that say buckets, hopefully you really get buckets.
Yeah, man, I do get buckets, but I wasn't then. I was not getting buckets at that point.
But okay, so George, tell the whole story. So your teammate just won a championship last night.
Oh yeah, I mean we were nice. Like it wasn't like we were bad, and I still
So
played like 20 minutes
he
a
played
night. But
he
like,
played with Case and Wallace,
yeah,
Oh,
and
no,
so
we were nice. We were like 8-0 in Peach Jam. I played 20 minutes a night. I played well, but we had a lot of good guys. So I get subbed, and I mean, it's EYBL. Everybody feels like they're the best. So there'd be guys pouting or they wouldn't really be engaged anymore, and I'd sit there and I'd clap and I'd move up the bench and it stood out to some coaches, and I that's really what he told me though. That's how I got it was being engaged on the bench and moving up every seat. Because I mean, I'm sure there was like 30 guys out there he could have offered. I mean, everybody at that level was pretty good. So
so do you think you learned that being in our environment, or is that just something you think
good
was
question.
instilled in you?
no, I mean, I definitely like I definitely learned that from y'all because I mean, pouting and being upset and throwing balls and like all that stuff. Like I've done it before. And I mean,
I
like
heard
I've almost been kicked out. I've been yelled at by y'all. I've ran. I've done a million things. So it's burned into my brain. Like, man, they don't have nobody has time for complaining and dealing with somebody extra. Like I'm not good enough to do that. I'm not LeBron, so I can't do that.
But G, don't you want the guy that wants to play? Where's the
You
balance?
definitely want to
I
get.
want.
Definitely. I mean, but like he said, man, those little nuances are important, man. Those are, like Mark was saying, that gets a that gains trust from a coach. That means a coach can rely on you later because he knows that you're going to be focused and engaged. And like Jordan said, it might have been a situation where he might have been put in the last second of the situation, but but his engagement, he knows the situation already. He knows if you're in the bonus and things like that. He knows the little details if you engage. And so that's what coaches, like he was saying, man, that's a big part of the game. And,
Mm,
to bring that culture into your, that's what all coaches want to bring, that kind of player in there. Yes, you want that stud that can score and all that stuff, but a lot of those guys aren't easy to deal with. Coaches just kind of deal with them because of their abilities and things. But the type of player like Jordan is, man, he's easily adaptable to any kind of team,
yeah.
and that's the reason why he's been on so many good teams.
Ethan, are you far enough away from Vegas to not get distracted?
He's in
Yeah,
Reno.
I am.
Same thing.
So
Nah,
talk to me
Baby
about
Vegas.
the discipline you got being out there in a fast paced city like you are, man.
nah, I am. Like, I'm locked in. Mark might not think so, but I've been here about 2 weeks, and it's really just been, if I'm not on the court or in the gym, I'm at home, to be honest. On the games, sleeping, eating. I really just been in my apartment. I share an apartment with one of my roommates. We got two different rooms in here. I just been in here a lot. I mean it's summer, right? Like there's probably stuff going on, but it's about the bigger picture. Feel me?
Yeah, the direct deposits.
And man, that made me feel good, Ethan. Man, that
On
that
a
was
mission, man. That man's on a
yeah,
mission. I would love to hear
that
it.
was a
Yeah,
solid answer. I hope you live up to it, man. You said it. We got it now, so we
yeah. I
expect
almost
that.
stood up and clapped, man.
All right, bro.
Is there, go ahead, Mark. Go
You
ahead.
know, so the question you kind of asked G, every coach wants a kid that wants to play. And then what Jordan was saying about kicking the balls and all of that, we say this in our program, man. We want you to play with passion, not emotion, right? Emotion goes up and down. You know what I mean? Your girlfriend make you mad, you're emotional, or someone says something to you out of pocket, that's emotion. But if you come in every day with a passion to, not compete with other people, but just prove it to yourself, man, I'm the best player in the gym. That has to be your mindset every time you walk in the gym, where a coach can see that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, this
Yeah.
kid goes hard every day. This kid is out here trying to kill, whoever's in front of him every day. And so, I think that goes a long way, but also not being emotional if you don't play. Man, I've been killing him in practice, but you don't know the plays. You know what I mean? You don't know situations. You don't know, because there's a lot of guys, that get to this level that are hoopers. You know what I mean? That, you play pickup or you go in the summer league, they're getting 30, 40 points, but they get into a system of, being put into a role. A lot of guys can't accept it. And that's the emotion, right? But if you're passionate about it, oh, coach only wants me to take 5 shots, cool, but I'm about to get 7 rebounds.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so that's one of the biggest thing, man, having the passion to be the best version of yourself and just see where that lands you.
And Ethan, Jordan, I like having y'all on because I feel like y'all have a better connection than myself, Mark, and G to the youth. And I don't know if y'all realize the position you're in, and that there's kids that want to be where you are. So I just want to applaud you for that. But was it when you got to strength and motion? I'm intrigued by all the work. I'm intrigued by the work. Is that when you realized that you weren't really in shape? Like, talk about finding out that you're really not in the shape that you're supposed to be, and how does strength and motion play into that? Oh, look at
Uh,
that's all. You pretty much answered it right there.
man, I mean, being in shape, like that part of it, like even coming back from college, like after the season was over with and coming and doing some of the off season workouts, like I guess the best way I found out I wasn't in shape was almost passing out doing one of their running workouts that the rest of the guys were able to at least stand up and finish. So that was a wake up call for me that I've got to go harder. If they're
What
doing
about
this
you?
and they're
What about you,
and they're
Ethan?
prepped, like
You weren't in
what's
shape.
up?
When did you,
Oh
Ethan? When
yeah,
did you realize you weren't in shape, boss?
I knew for sure I wasn't in shape like senior year. Well, Mark know too. Like I got like I wouldn't say ridiculous shape, but I definitely transformed my body for sure. Like in those first 2, 3 months, that the like July, August, September months of strength and motion. And I mean, I thought like in high school, I knew I probably wasn't in the best of shape, but I was still, playing the games, getting through it. But probably that first week, I remember we go first day 5:30, or was it 5:30 at the almost park.
Oh,
After
they
that
take you
day,
outside.
cook.
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah,
not.
we go to the park and just dark outside and just they set up
Wow.
cones about like 100 yards apart, and we're just nonstop. And after that,
Flashlights.
yeah,
Run to the
yeah,
flashlight.
We
yeah,
put their
yeah.
put their phones to use. Set your phone here so you can see.
How do y'all balance your job and this whole social media world we're in? Are y'all social media guys? Do you try to stay away from it? Talk to me about the balance between your job and social media, because you do have to do it. I guess it's a necessary evil, but how do y'all balance it?
I mean, to be honest, I kind of try to stay away from it, like in the
Good for you.
season, because I mean, yeah, they like try to boost your head up and stuff, like seeing highlights and like all the good things that you're doing. That doesn't help me, so I stay away from it. But it's a good tool that people use. Well, I just it's not for me. So
Nothing wrong with that. That's a great answer. Ethan, you stay away from it, or how you feel
I
about
mean, it's especially what we do. It's a great platform, right? To show yourself and highlights basketball stuff like that. But now I've gotten to a point where it's just a lot of stuff on social media. It's just taken out of proportion, especially for basketball, where it's a lot of it is just you know, clips and for views and publicity and politics and stuff like that. And I don't really like that stuff either. So, it's like helpful and a distraction, both.
I would ask G and Mark, but I know they hate it.
Hate it, man.
Oh, yeah, I can't find
You
G and Mark.
already know.
Only time I day on social media is when I post the clips from this show.
And
Yep.
the collab. I don't
You
even
got to
know
collab.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
might
post.
collab with somebody, yeah, but it's hard to put effort
man. I
into
think
it.
I think social media. Um, I think it's good if you're using it to keep up with family members that are traveling and different things. But for most part, man, if you're not using it to make money, like what are we doing? You know what I mean? Like what are we doing? I don't think you need to take a picture. And this is personal opinion. It just doesn't come across my mind. I'm at a restaurant. Oh, look at this plate of food, man. Everybody needs to see this. I just don't understand that. Like
All
it
right,
just doesn't.
right.
It just doesn't
Did you eat
resonate with
last
me.
night?
You know what I mean? Like I don't get it, but it is what it
Yeah,
is.
but Ethan, Jordan, man, anything y'all want? Any parting things you want to say about your time at Strength in Motion? I mean, that's what this is about, letting people understand and letting some of these dudes understand that this is a great option, and now it's a high school option. Anything y'all want to say about Strength in Motion before I let y'all get back to your jobs?
um, I mean, I guess I really do believe in everything that they've got over there, and I mean, it's worked for me. And I think the most important thing is, you got to put your head down and work. They're gonna help you as much as they can, but at the end of the day, you've got to do the work. So
Great point. Great statement. Ethan?
Yeah, I'll just say like, especially in San Antonio, being high school is hard, difficult with recruiting and stuff, and it's just a great way, an extra year prep year. It's a great way to just, you know, build to that level, and strength and motion. It's a real good program. It don't really matter where you are, to be honest, too. As long as you get in that extra work in. So,
Right.
but yeah.
Well, hey, I'm gonna keep G and Mark a couple more minutes if that's okay. But Jordan, Ethan, I know y'all got to go eat. Ethan's drinking a gallon of water. I mean,
Come on
it,
now.
Jordan got his bucket shirt on, so I'm gonna let him go put up some jumpers. That's a very, very confident T-shirt, young man. Hey, for real, man. I don't know y'all from a can of paint, but I'm proud of y'all because I fully understand how hard y'all are doing something that 99% of the world will never get to do. So don't take it lightly. Don't take it for granted. Keep doing what you did to get here and do more. So we here at Love You Hard TV, we're proud of y'all, and I'll be paying attention to y'all this year, and I appreciate y'all's time.
Yeah, man.
Yes,
I think
sir.
I speak
Appreciate you.
for everyone in Strength and Motion, man. We're proud of y'all too, man, and keep representing yourself, first and shout us out as much as possible.
Hey, appreciate y'all,
Definitely.
fellas.
Sorry.
Thanks, fellas.
All right.
Thanks.
Appreciate
Appreciate
y'all.
it.
Look at me, but y'all, the San Antonio keeps coming up. Obviously, we're here in San Antonio. Well, when you're in San Antonio, you got to blah blah blah. When you're in San Antonio, it's this much. What do y'all think of the San Antonio hoop scene? And again, we ain't live, so if you say something that we don't, that you don't think is very becoming, like, do y'all believe in the hoop scene in San Antonio?
I'll go first, G man. San Antonio has talent, right? We really do have talent. What we are lacking is size, right? We just don't have the the size that these other cities are having. We don't have, you have two, three guys above 6'9" in San Antonio. That's a great year. When on average in Houston, it's each team has one of those guys. You know what I mean? And so the game is different when you have the athleticism, when you have size. The skill set. I think we have the skill set to match anyone. It's just we don't get to see those athletes.
Right,
And the athletes can change everything you have with skills.
right.
Now it just makes it different. And then as a culture, man, we're not doing something. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's something we're not doing or something we haven't figured out um, to elevate it, man. Because we have enough people here.
Yeah.
We don't have the 7 million, but we got 2 million people. And so I think it should be a lot better than what it is. I don't have the answer to that. If we need to start them lifting weights younger to get bigger, or you know they're not playing unorganized basketball as much anymore. We're not at the parks as much,
Right.
so it's a lot of factors I think factor into it. But man, it's just overall, man, we're behind. We're behind.
G.
I mean, I agree with Mark was saying, and Mark's been, on the high school scene a lot more recently than I have. But I mean, from my perspective, man, it is, like Mark said, man, we don't have an open run place. There's not a run place where guys just go play it. A
Right.
lot of your Houston, you got your Fundy, Dallas. I was just asking some of the players in the Big Three where they playing at in Dallas. They had a location. And so, you always have a city where that run is, and then you got the best guys, around the city playing in there. And then you got them guys who trying to get on just kind of in the sidelines and stuff. And so, you don't really have that scene, like you used to anymore. And then, I just think, man, the way San Antonio is their method is just outdated. They've been using the same method and the same system that me and Mark was in high school.
Mm,
And it worked for us, because of just the demographics and things like that. But man, Houston and Dallas, they all are changing. They're all are adapting to
growing.
this
Right.
what's going on. They're growing. They're And so I just think San Antonio just hasn't adapted. We're stuck on our same format, and that format is dead because the players don't get the exposure. The players don't get a chance to play against the players to even get compared with. And so if you playing these preset schedules already, man, and you got these old rinky dink Northeast tournaments where you're gonna be playing the same teams over. You got to give these kids some exposure. So if San Antonio was doing something different, going to these places, it's up to the school, and that's the reason why we're taking it upon ourselves to say, hey, I know the school and stuff, man. Y'all got y'all systems and the ways y'all have to do things. We don't. So we want to be able to take these young men and hopefully in the future young women, man, and be able to give them the exposure at a young age that they need. So that coach is saying like, man, I saw this kid in San Antonio. I got to go back. And now if that coach is coming back to San Antonio, now he might be seeing 3 or 4 other kids while he's here in San Antonio. But I just think the system here is just kind of outdated.
I probably I obviously agree with that. I can't speak to it, but how? So I see this pod, and I got a kid in high school. What to walk me through the steps to possibly get into you all's program?
snmotion.com. Just hit us on the email and we'll get back to you. If it's not just for school, just for training, just being in an atmosphere that has college guys or guys that are really trying to get to college, just to see the difference. I give it up to everyone in San Antonio who's trying to help San Antonio. We're not the only outlet to get to the next level. There's a lot of guys doing some great things. There's some guys who've been doing it for a long time, but then there are also some new guys coming up. You have to do your research. You have to do your research. Who are you playing against? Who did they train? Who did they get in college? What contacts do they have? All that is very, very important. We talked about network.
We did talk about network.
Everybody has, you can look online and get every college coach's phone number, but if you call, does he answer? What type of player have you sent there before? Will he do you a favor? All that stuff really matters in this game, man. There's so many kids out here that can really play, and you have to have an edge, some advantage, somehow, some way, to get in,
Yeah. And before we'll get out of here on this note, because I want this to grow. I think y'all are doing great things. I mean, again, we just talked to Jordan and Ethan. They're both at D1 programs, both getting checks. G, talk a little bit about, and you don't have to spend too much time on it, what you can say to the world about the Strength in Motion Network and why it would benefit your son.
Oh man, we got a huge, we've been doing a lot of work over the years, especially over the last, I would say 11 years. We've been putting in a lot of work as far as domestically and abroad. And so we've been covering a lot of ground. We've been doing a lot of groundwork. We've been doing a lot of things for pro bono, and just
Damn.
to gain the knowledge, just to understand the transitions and the different nuances in different games. And so we're students of this game still. We grew up students and we still are, and because we're hugely passionate about it. And so I just think, man, with the network that we've encountered over the last 12 years, man, we have countless resources, man, to be able to help these young men and young women. And like Mark said, if you're not attending the school, then you're coming to work out with us, and then you're still getting a part of that network. And you're coming to train with us. You're make appointments with us, and then we can have these consultations where we're kind of talking about. We can kind of map out a schedule and things. So we're here for all that stuff, man. Because I just before this call, I was on a call with the 3-on-3, the 3x3 FIBA federation. That's an untapped market here in America, and that's what they're telling me. They said, man, the American market in 3x3 is wide open, and the rest of the world is playing this. And so you have young men and women all over the world playing 3x3 basketball,
Making
and at the same time seeing the world.
damn.
Making
And
money.
and making money, man. And so I want to be able to, we want to be able to bring these opportunities that the rest of the world are doing in basketball, because it's not just 5-on-5. There's a lot of ways that you can maneuver around in this game. Is so huge, and we have access to that. We've worked diligently over the years, and just one, because we're just passionate about the game, and then two, we want to be able to put ourselves in a position where we can help these young men and women
I,
get to
I
the
don't
next stage.
I don't want to trigger you,
Uh,
but I'm sitting there listening to y'all for 3 shows now. What? Why aren't they coming to you in droves? I know that could be a whole show, fellas.
Yeah.
What is it what do you feel like is the false narrative?
So I
What
don't
is
think
it?
it's anything negative about us, man. Like we kind of touched on it before. I think a lot of kids, and I'm speaking on San Antonio kids, man. Like if you've been in San Antonio your whole career and nothing bubbles by your 12th grade year, like what can a post grad really do for me?
That's
I,
what you're thinking.
that's what I think. Like I really think that's it, man. Because there, like I said, there are a lot of guys out here that are very credible, and they have AAU organizations that take these kids to the right places. They're playing on the right stages, and they're just not getting anything. And so I think at the end of the day, like I feel like I have to move out of San Antonio to really be appreciated. I think that's a big part of it. And then also, man, we're horrible at social media. There's guys
That's
out
a
here
thing.
that, yeah, we're horrible. I'm honest. There's guys out here that are amazing marketers. They market
Market.
themselves very, very well, man, and aren't putting kids in school. But you look at their social media, it'll say blah 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 blah. I train this person, I train that person, um,
But there's
and so
no results.
yeah, yeah.
That's again. I feel like y'all should be at the point where you like, yo, we just got too many. We got y'all should be at the point where you having to turn people away. Not that you don't, but I just feel like just listening to y'all and then the resumes speak for themselves. You've managed to
Yeah,
be
I
here,
like.
managed to be here 9 years.
Yeah, I like, and like Mark said, man, we and a lot of this is our issue, and it's like, you know, we don't really advertise what we do, and we probably should advertise more, because just to get the information out there. But well, I mean, we're really confident we got a great thing. And so, we just kind of been in our own bubble as far as, working with the Jordans, working with the Ethans, working with the kids that have came to us. And so we get so locked in and invested in them. I just, I think we just failed to say, hey, man, you got a couple more friends that you think want to do it? And we don't really do that. We're more into, hey, man,
Doing the
you're
work.
going to be the best player you can be. And let's get you to where you're going to go. And so, we don't advertise, even though we are a business and we probably should, but I think that's been the case, man. We just don't say, hey, look at us, look at what we're doing, because I just don't think that's our personalities in the first place. We've never really
Great
kind of
point.
been like that. And so I just think, like, but it is different in business. And so we just kind of, we haven't, like Mark said, we're not really great at the saying, hey, look over here.
Yeah.
But it's probably something that needs to be done, because I mean, we got a serious product, man, and
Yeah.
and we got something that that has already proven to work.
Yeah, I respect y'all. And this is me. This was me saying this, by the way, if y'all watched it. This was me saying it. This isn't Marker G mad at San Antonio. This was my question because I see Jordan, I see Ethan. I hear Mark tell me y'all got over 2 million in scholarships given out. So I'm saying it. Rudy J. Don't come at Mark and G about like why Mark and G crying. They're not doing that. This is me asking them, why isn't it 1,000 kids? Why isn't it a line around the building to get into strength of motion? That was me.
Yeah.
So just to clarify that.
No, no, we didn't take it anyway, man, and
Okay,
we want all the smoke, man. I think we can compare to what we're doing with anyone, but we're not in competition with anyone. Like we're really in the help business. We want to help these kids. You know what I mean? Like it's it's so, like Ethan was saying, there's so many distractions, man, and there's so many things on social media that are lies, but these kids are in love with that, for the most part, where we're truth tellers. And so a lot of the things that other people are telling these kids, man, we tell you the truth, man, you're not good enough, or you need to be in
Ooh.
here more, you need to
Ooh.
work on this, you need to work on that. We're not going to take your money and say we can make you an NBA player. No, we're going to be truthful about where you are, what you need to work on, and then it's like Ethan said, Jordan said, at the end of the day, you got to do the work. You know what I mean? And it's there's guys that are telling the truth to these kids, and there's people that are
Lying to get the money from
lying to
mom
get
and
the
dad.
money, man. It's business. It's the marketing. I can market something and paint a picture of something beautiful with an amazing end result, but it's marketing, and we've been kind of doing it like we're not talking about it. But if you go to multiple levels, Division 1, Division 2, JUCO, NAIA, you're going to see a strength and motion kid. That we're everywhere. You're going to see a strength and motion kid in almost every division. And
Europe.
we pride ourselves
Europe
on
too.
Europe as well.
Yep.
That's the end goal, man. Just have these kids living out their dreams, and
I've had multiple people reach out to me since I've been doing this with y'all, because I'm not in the basketball area, but I've had multiple people reach out to me, honest to God. I'm so glad you're doing this because they're doing great work. I'm so glad that they're getting this exposure because they've been doing great work in this time. And the thing that they keep saying is exactly what y'all said. People need to know because these guys are over there doing great work. So I'm glad we're doing this, and I'm learning a lot as well. So again, G, hope you have a good time in San Antonio. Maybe we'll get together. Maybe we won't. Y'all busy, man.
We
I'm busy.
will.
We'll
Definitely
figure it
will.
out. But
man, let's go have dinner and take pictures, and we're gonna put it
we're gonna
up.
post it. Because the
We're
only
gonna
time if I go
take
to Street
pictures
to
of our
Motion, the only thing
food.
I see is practice.
Practice, highlight. That's
That's the
it.
only
We're gonna
thing
take
I see
pictures
on
of our
Street to
food.
Motion Instagram is hooping.
That's it,
So
man.
snmotion.com, right?
SNmotion.com.
snmotion.com.
And you
Hit
can
us
find
up.
all the other social media stuff on there. Man, I promise you, we working, man. We working for these kids, and end goal is scholarship, debt free education. But it's a new day, man. It's a new day where it's
Yeah,
a
you got to.
lot of money out there, man, and you would do
A
it for
lot of
free.
money, man.
I do it for free. I
You
do
would
Life
do it
free.
for free.
changing. Life changing.
Yeah. So, well, with that said, go Iceman, go Amps, and see y'all here in a couple weeks, right? Got to
Yep.
Yes,
keep it
sir.
rolling.
I'm not gonna
All
stop.
right now.
We in motion.
Yeah, we in motion,
Can't
man.
stop, won't stop.
Hey, appreciate your time, G.
All right.
Appreciate your time, Mark. In motion. Give us a listen.
All right.
Went longer than I
Episode 3.
thought. My bad.
Nah,